Bidenbucks are Zuckbucks on steroids. That's what our first guest tonight is arguing in the pages of Real Clear Investigations. He brings attention to the Heritage Foundation's oversight project, which in its latest report is now exposing some of the supposedly nonpartisan third-party get-out-the-vote groups which executive government agencies are being forced by Biden to partner with, to both register and to mobilize voters ahead of November. And we're talking numbers that can easily change election outcomes. An estimated 3.5 million new voters every year. And inherently, since the government never does anything out of the kindness of its own heart, this plan is to skew those registrations in favor of Democrats. The Heritage Oversight Project found, quote, every participant whose party affiliation or political donation history could be identified by the Oversight Project was identified as a Democrat, except for one Green Party member, end quote. I guess in this woke world, this is what passes as nonpartisan these days. And the worst part is this comes from an executive order implemented by Biden back in March of 2021, as we've talked about a bunch since then. The right has had plenty of time to try and neuter and to kill this plan, but they haven't. They've been too busy passing and funding every Democrat priority, which only further entrenches these vast powers against us. And part of the reasoning, we're told, is that House Speaker Mike Johnson doesn't have the numbers, with his extremely slim majority in Congress, to be anything other than the leader of a center-left coalition. But yet, what did Republicans do for short-lived head pats from the left just last year? They expelled Republican George Santos of New York in an historic vote. Yeah, he's a kook, but he voted with the party on pretty much everything. It's actually kind of funny if you listen to him. Why didn't we utilize him while we could and let his constituents figure out what they want to do with him when his re-election bid has to come around? So what he was accused, though not convicted of, is financial corruption. But who in D.C. doesn't have that same skeleton in their own closet? And that's the reason why I bring Santos up again now, because a second Democrat member of Congress has been charged by the DOJ for allegedly taking bribes totaling about $600,000 from an Azerbaijan state-owned oil and gas company and a bank headquartered in Mexico City. Over the weekend, President Trump mused that the DOJ charges against Henry Cuellar of Texas stem from the fact that Cuellar broke with open border Democrats on wanting more security. And so perhaps the deep state just dredged up whatever dirt they had on him. Now, whatever the truth may be, Cuellar now joins the ranks of Democrat New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez, who was similarly charged last year for allegedly accepting fancy jewelry, cars, and gold bars as bribes from foreign nations like Egypt. And yet he still sits on the Foreign Relations Committee, even if he did step down as chair. Funny how the right sacrificing Santos did not result in the left even considering, for even a moment, to reciprocate. They're flexing their power in our face that they demand we live up to one standard in themselves to an entirely different one. Learn the lesson here. They're saying we're in charge. We have to realize where we are politically in this country. It's time for us to be ruthless as far as the bounds of the law will allow. We need to stand united and stop letting the left divide and conquer us. Ignore the Santos sideshow distractions that the media plays up, and instead stay strategically narrow-minded on destroying Biden's executive order to get out the vote and then to defund all their other priorities. There really is no other way. Joining us now to discuss is the editor-at-large for Real Clear Investigations, Benjamin Weinhardt. He's also a senior contributor for The Federalist. Benjamin, thanks for being here tonight.
Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure.
Great. So you wrote about Biden's executive order, as we talked about at the top of the show tonight. And it seems like Republicans are doing exactly nothing to stop it. So what should viewers know about this get out the vote government project?
Well, as you noted, this executive order could potentially swing the 2024 presidential election, down ballot races, and future elections for that matters, because it mandates that every single federal agency, over 600 offices, get into the business of registering and mobilizing voters with a specific focus on minority voters, and calls on them to consider working with quote-unquote nonpartisan third-party organizations to help swell voter rolls of the voters that the administration wants voting. And we know that the agencies involved disproportionately have touch points dealing with voters who tend to disproportionately vote Democrat